Inside a room like this, during a tense summit or the final hours of a fragile climate accord, the atmosphere is thick with calculated risk, bluffing, and precarious alliances. When survival is the primary metric, leaders have to weigh immediate political losses against the long-term threat of systemic collapse. But high-stakes strategy didn't begin with human politics. Long before we drafted treaties, animals were negotiating the same boundaries of life and death. Survival in the wild is the original diplomacy. In 1972, Richard Adams published Watership Down. It's a novel about rabbits, but it functions as an exploration of how societies form, fight, and survive. By examining the biological mechanics of how these animals move and communicate, we can start to decode the recurring patterns in human game theory. In nature, an escape often begins with a calculated physical risk. Take the grasshopper. For an insect targeted by a predator, leaping 20 times its body length is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward evasion strategy. The grasshopper's leg acts as a biological catapult. Bending its knee stretches elastic structures in the cuticle, storing immense potential energy. When released, this energy converts to kinetic motion instantly, accelerating the insect faster than a predator can react. This physical capacity for a sudden exit is the biological foundation for strategic risk-taking. In Watership Down, Hazel and Fiver face a similar moment. Warned of their warren's destruction, they decide to abandon the security of their home for the unknown. This mirrors the game theory concept of defection within a prisoner's dilemma. When the status quo, staying in the warren, guarantees destruction, the logical move is to break away, even if the alternative is unproven. We see this in international relations when a state realizes an alliance is no longer protective. The choice to defect is a calculated leap into a new strategic environment, trading immediate safety for the chance to avoid an existential threat. While a grasshopper jumps alone, rabbits survive through group coordination. Their anatomy allows for rapid, synchronized sprints, where every individual's movement reinforces the safety of the entire group. Adams contrasts this natural teamwork with Ephrata, a militarized warren run by a dictator, General Woundwort. In Ephrata, rabbits are strictly regulated, and dissent is met with physical suppression. Ephrata follows the governance model described by Thomas Hobbes in his work Leviathan. Hobbes believed absolute centralized power was necessary to prevent chaos, but in the novel, Woundwort's rigid control eventually leads to resource depletion and societal collapse. Hazel's warren, Watership Down, operates differently. He leads through consensus and delegation, assigning roles based on individual aptitude rather than rank. This is a stag hunt scenario in game theory. If every rabbit acts only in its own interest, the group achieves very little. But if they coordinate their efforts, as shown in this quadrant, the mutual payoff is significantly higher for everyone involved. This cooperative model aligns with the work of Nobel laureate Elinor Ostrom. She documented how communities manage shared resources effectively through inclusive rules rather than top-down force. Ostrom's research and Hazel's warren suggest a blueprint for modern diplomacy. For climate coalitions to remain stable, nations must see the stag hunt logic, that collective cooperation provides a level of security that no single country can achieve alone. Coordination requires more than just intent. It requires clear communication. In the wild, animals have developed chemical systems to broadcast their strategies without saying a word. Dominant male rabbits secrete 2-phenoxyethanol from their chin glands to mark territory. This compound acts as a chemical signal, establishing boundaries and social status within a warren. This is strategic signaling. In any game, actors need to broadcast clear, verifiable information about whether they intend to compete or cooperate. Trust depends on the accuracy of the signal. In nature, if a rabbit misreads a scent mark and enters a hostile territory, it risks an immediate, violent confrontation. In human diplomacy, misreading a signal, like a misinterpreted treaty clause or a vague military maneuver, leads directly to broken agreements and asymmetric conflict. Hazel's ability to build trust with rival warrens mirrors real-world diplomatic breakthroughs, like the 1978 Camp David Accords, where resource sharing and transparent communication turned former adversaries into partners. Peace between rival groups, whether in a field or at a summit, relies on this reciprocal exchange of signals. When those signals are clear and the payoffs are shared, the game changes from competition to cooperation. The barriers we imagine between biology, literature, and global politics are thinner than they appear. The energy in a grasshopper's leg, the strategies in Watership Down, and the maneuvers inside the UN all rely on a similar logic of interaction. They are all systems designed to manage risk and maximize survival. These cooperative strategies have evolved as practical solutions to the problem of staying alive in a competitive landscape. As we confront global challenges like climate change, the limits of brute force become clear. Surviving these crises requires a shift toward the adaptive diplomacy Hazel used to build his Warren. The ultimate lesson is that a society built on the strength of the many will always be more resilient than one built on the power of one.